Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Wright, I have a series of questions for you. On this issue on dams, do you deal only with dams that generate electricity? And I assume that's the vast majority of dams do some type of hydroelectric generation. But if you have just a flood control dam or something like that, do you still, are they in your sphere?
So, Senator, for the dams that provide agricultural or kind of water holdback services, there still can be digital equipment that operate some components with those dams. There can be communication and status indicators that are installed on those dams. For that equipment, certainly methodologies like cyber-informed engineering and other cybersecurity defenses would be appropriate. Also, as we begin to modernize these agricultural dams to become power-producing dams, as many of the more recent investments allow, that will introduce a significant amount of digital technology, which will change the risk for those agricultural dams. It is compounded by the fact that many of these agricultural dams are located in very rural communities who may not have access to excellent cybersecurity services. So we will have to work on trying to ensure that cybersecurity protections are designed in as opposed to reactively applied afterwards.
So what percent of the dams are, ballpark if you can give me one, what percent are the ag type dams that don't generate electricity? Or are you able to give an estimate there?
Senator, I am not today, but I would be delighted to get that answer and bring it back to you.
Well, and then to get right down to it, how does this work? Do the dam operators come to you? Do you come to them? Are they subject to a regulatory mandate? Where are we on that? Just give me a general idea how this works.
For cyber-informed engineering, our approach is very broad, and we would be very open to working with hydroelectric owners and operators to apply the methodology at their facilities. As of yet, we have not done so, but we are eager for that opportunity. Right now, the owners and operators have voluntary access to a number of services offered by the Department of Energy's CSER organization, offered by DHS's Department of Dams, and other federal entities. Those tools include ones that allow network visibility, that help to rank consequences of cyber threats, and that inform how one might perform an incident response activity at a hydroelectric facility.
And is there a private sector companies that are involved in this effort also?
Yes, sir. With cyber-informed engineering, we are attempting to make every one of our developments very public, and we have communities of practice where the private sector learns about engineering and can apply it.
So can you give me any kind of an idea of the hydroelectric dams? How many of them are now subject to the CIE methodology? How many of them are in practice? What percent?
Right now, not very many. However, the benefit for the hydroelectric sector is that these dams are marvels of U.S. engineering. And because of their age, they have older equipment that is not subject to cyber vulnerabilities. So there is an excellent opportunity to leverage what already exists and build in protections as modernization brings digital equipment into the dam sector.
So, Mr. Arneson, is your constituency, they're dialed in on this, I assume. Tell me what the thought process is.
Yeah, they are, and we've really appreciated the Idaho National Lab's leadership on this. I think cyber-informed engineering is a concept that absolutely sort of reflects our vision of resilient operations. The idea here is digital equipment is terrific, but we operated the grid for the better part of the 20th century without digital overlay. How can we operate degraded? How can we operate through a cyber incident? How can we rely on non-digital equipment to make it harder for the adversary? You know, one of the things I talk about a lot, just to maybe dig in a little bit, there's two ways you deter an adversary. The first is that the attack doesn't have the intended impact. So an adversary attacks using cyber means, and we still maintain operations. The other way that you deter is that an attack has a consequence, which is the purview of our armed forces and intelligence community. And increasingly, the electric power sector has a responsibility to support military installations who are supporting forward operations. So this relationship between the electric power sector, defense installations, the intelligence community, and using things like cyber-informed engineering gives us a holistic approach to deterrence where the attack doesn't have the intended impact and our military can do its job.
So back to you, Ms. Wright. How rapidly are these dams being restructured to modernize their operations? What's the velocity of that or non-velocity of it that's going on? Or are you able to speak to that?
I'd like to bring some exact numbers back to you. But
For
what
the
we
record,
were
why
able
don't
to
you do that?
observe is that federal entities have granted a number of modernization efforts that are being carried out both by asset owners and vendors who supply services to the grid, many to refit these agricultural dams to be power producing, and others to add advanced instrumentation to dams to make them more responsive to changing grid conditions.
I'm assuming, my time's up, but let me close with this. I am assuming, well, we all know that the Idaho National Lab is world-class in control systems, developing operations, understanding them. And of course, that's been going on for decades there because of their work with nuclear. And I believe that the cyber growth there is a result of our expertise in control systems. I'm assuming your operations brings the two of those together, the control systems and the cyber operations.
Senator, that's right, and thank you for the opportunity to address that. The cyber-informed engineering methodology takes advantage of a practitioner who has been left out of a great many of the cybersecurity conversations, and that is the engineer who designs a system to perform in the first place and operates the critical practices. By leveraging the knowledge of that engineer, you can identify the consequences that would be most impactful in the event of a cyber attack and remediations that may be non-digital and out of phase with the adversary to accomplish what my colleague has talked about, deterring the adversary because of the lack of an impact resulting from their activity.
That's all quite helpful. Thank you, Ms. Chair.